It is a 16-inch contemporary archtop. The things that I think that make it contemporary are the sound hole placement, and then I'm also, I don't know if you can see this, building an arm bevel into the carve of the top. Hopefully you can see that, so that where your arm the player's arm goes over is thinner, which helps make a little bit larger body more comfortable. All the electronics are floating, meaning that there's a humbucking pickup that's mounted to the pick guard, and then there's a volume and tone under here, and that's mounted to the side of the neck so that nothing is affecting the acoustic behavior of the top. Specs are, this is a Carpathian spruce top from Ukraine. Back and sides are big leaf maple. The neck is a 4-piece tapered lamination maple neck. Ebony fingerboard, pickguard, bridge, 25-inch scale length, 12 to 16-inch compound radius fingerboard. X-braced top. Humbucker is a custom Kent Armstrong. I carved this little blank out of ebony, and then I mail it to him, and he makes a mold out of it, a silicone mold, and then puts his PAF guts into it. So if you check out the multi-scale version of this instrument, I call my fugue model, which is a kind of asymmetrical body shape. You'll see that the similar humbucker is the same guts, but it's a parallelogram instead of straight. Cut my inlays by hand with a jeweler's saw. I do my best to do it all in one cut and then not do any touch-ups with like a needle file or anything. So it's like I try to get it in directly off the saw, trying to get that vibe of like one take solo kind of thing, warts and all kind of feel. Very similar to the Cadenza that I was just talking about, but the lower bout is. The body itself is a little smaller. Lower bout is a little shorter. The lower bout is 15 inches, and the scale length is 24, which I'm pretty excited about. I think that it really sweetens up the trebles, which I'm interested in, and then also I had a hand injury a couple of years ago that really makes some of the stretches uncomfortable. So I think that for people with smaller frames or smaller hands or arthritis, other hand injuries, I think that checking out an instrument with a 24-inch scale length would be worthwhile. If it's not for you, it's not for you, but I wouldn't. I think a lot of people hear 24 and they just go, and before they try it. And I think if they tried it, they would be surprised. So, basically the same construction as the Cadenza. It's X-braced. This one has a little bit different materials. This is a Sitka spruce top, grain matched acrylicam ebony headplate, fingerboard, pickguard, and tailpiece caps, maple back and sides and neck, and this one has a satin nitrocellulose finish. I guess I didn't mention the finish on the other one. I guess maybe I should mention sound hole design. Like why are the sound holes up here and not down here? I started off doing it, copying my mentor Tom Rebecki's sound hole placement. It was just a ring here. And early on in his shop, I did a neck reset on one of his the halfling instruments are the ones that have that. I did a neck reset, and it took it was quick because we do bolt-on necks, so you can access the bolts through here, and then there's a long wrench that goes in through the end pin here. But with this instrument, I also make the electronics. Sorry, a little bit of tangents here, but I make the electronics so they plug in and out under the pickguard. There's a little 3/32" audio connector, so you can unscrew the pickguard, unplug that, undo the end pin jack, and pull the neck off with the wrench, and so I can have the neck on and off, electronics disconnected, neck removed, back on, all back together inside of 20 minutes, which is unheard of for a neck reset. So that's one of the reasons why the sound holes are up here, is just access to the bolts and future repairability.
And I just, in playing the halflings and the instruments with sound holes up here, I really like the low end of it. So I think whatever configuration that it takes, I think that when you move the sound holes on an archtop guitar into the upper bout, instead of having F holes, I think it fattens up the bass response a little bit. And it's still an archtop, but I think it moves the low end a little bit closer to what you would expect from a steel string acoustic. So that's why the sound hole's up there. Tuners are Goto 510s. I'm ordering them directly from Goto. And actually, that's something the two things I don't make on the guitar are the tuners and the pickup. And both of those are now custom and have my logo on them. So that's
pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, to my mind, when you carve a pickup into the top of a guitar, then it becomes an electric guitar. I'm sure that there's a little bit of gray area, but the idea behind the floating pickup is that nothing's touching the top, so that nothing's affecting the acoustic voice of the top. If you put a huge weight up here and cut a big hole and throw a weight in it, it's gonna affect the sound of the instrument. So that this way, by having floating electronics, it's technically a purely acoustic instrument that could be amplified as easily as an electric instrument. Sure. So my tailpiece design is the underlying technology comes from the Rebecca shop, and there are other people that do this wooden hinge. Anytime you see not anytime, but a lot of times when you see the wooden hinge tailpiece, it's a sign that they've spent time studying with Tom. Megan Wells does it, Ryan Thorell does it, Stuart Day does it. I think I've seen the few archtops that Michael Greenfield has made. I feel like I had a wooden hinge, and Michael came and took Tom's class back in the day. So this is kind of the tailpiece is my version of his technology, but it's an homage to my heritage in the archtop building world. So the idea is, for me, for multi-scale, it's a tone and tension thing. What got me interested in is I had this shred guitar that was a Jackson Soloist that was a straight 26-inch scale length, and I really liked the way that the bass strings sounded, but I hated the treble strings. And it just kind of over time, I discovered that I like a shorter scale length on the treble strings, both for the slinkier feel and to my ears, a sweeter tone. But the bass strings, kind of like you think about a bass guitar or a baritone guitar, is the longer scale length seems to be better for bass strings. Want a little bit longer scale length, a little more tension. So that with the multi-scale, you can have that sweet tone, slinkier feel, and better bass response all on one neck by stretching the bass side out and leaving the treble side in the shorter sweet zone. So that's kind of, it was a bit inarticulate, but that's the idea for me. Some people argue that it's ergonomic because your hand kind of does this as you come up the neck, but I haven't really found that's the case. Except for some of the more real extreme, like the NL8, the Nate Lopez guitar that you mentioned, the hybrid guitar, where that goes from I think it's 25 to 29. So it's an extreme fan. So the ergonomically for that, where you put that perpendicular fret really makes a difference on what your hand is doing. So, yeah, there's some ergonomics considerations in that world. But for my multi-scales, I'm typically doing a 1-inch spread, which to me is enough to get the benefits of it without being uncomfortable to play for somebody who's not used to it.